Nahid Shahalimi is an artist whose life and work are determined by process and evolution. The connection to the past and the influences of modern life both are mainly important aspects of her artwork. She was born in Kabul, Afghanistan, where she took her first steps guided by her grandfather. He was one of the last classical master painters of Afghanistan, and he offered her the opportunity to learn technical basics of painting and drawing.
My grandfather played an extremely important role in all of our lives, not only as a painter, as everything, but to watch him to do this classical way of painting and drawing was so important. Today I understand it very well because that's the tradition, those are the base, that's the tradition. As a painter you have to know the technique, the classical techniques first, in order to find your own way later in life as an artist. You have to work and really respect the classics too. And that's how although I hated some of the exercises that he made me do back then and just draw lines after lines after lines to make it, in order to have the hand move smoothly.
His lessons taught her more than just drawing lines after lines. In the end, she learned to stay concentrated and focused. The knowledge she gained until she was 16 years old is still a part of her works and is mixed with her personal perspective on her native country. In these years, it became clear to her that she wanted to be an artist. She realized the hard and difficult contrast or conflict between traditional ways of painting and modern forms of expression. Because of the war in Afghanistan, the family fled from the native country and lived all over the world. In Canada, Nahid Shahalimi started studying art at the Fine Art School after she had changed her studies secretly from medicine to art. That was one way of rebellion. Nahid Shahalimi fought for the realization of her dreams. The children portraits are a main turning point in her life as an artist. Nahid Shahalimi always respected and cherished the portrait as a genre. She was aware of the difficulty of depicting the human face in all its shades. The way she is, she needed to overcome this border, and she started with the emotional topic of children in misery. The first kid she portrayed was an Indian boy who had been caught stealing food and was treated very brutally by the policeman.
And he was screaming and crying out to the tons of reporters that were standing there, and nobody was listening to his cries. And that really brought me back to my own life in Afghanistan and the way things happened with war and everything. And those are the moments that I wanted to capture. And I think when you know the story of this little boy, then you look at this portrait totally differently. The red, yes, red is supposed to be the devil's kind of a color. Nonetheless, when you know the story of this little boy, then again you go back to the soft side and the humane side that I think is missing. And this is why I did this portrait that was really quite emotional for me too. And when I did this portrait, I often cried while I did it, because to me it says a lot about humanity and about a little boy that probably stole because he was hungry. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't even know whether they killed him. Is he still alive? He's in the jails. I don't know.
Strong brush strokes, dramatic facial expression, and dark colors as in unity show for the fear and pain of this little boy in an authentic way. She painted the face using her hands, and so it reflects her emotional movements in the movement of painting.
So I have photographed about over 300, 400 children, street children of Afghanistan, and I have the first portrait, as I said, was made out of 20 faces. You see a little girl, but yet it's made out of 20 faces. And the idea is to put all of these 400 kids into maybe 30, 25 portraits, and all with white everything. And that will be the innocence of them.
The folkloric collection is one of the witnesses of the time when she blended tradition with modernity. The work Bizkashi shows the national game of Afghanistan. The dramatic perspective underlines the wildness of the horses and the game in general. The game turns the elegant animal into a savage and violent one, yet keeping its beauty. Nahid says, looking back is looking forward about her art and life. The present gives you the possibility to follow someone's footsteps and at the same time to leave your own. So she stepped into the footprints of her grandfather until she started living her own. From the year 2006 on, a new phase of Nahid Shahalimi's life and work began. One of the events that triggered that change was the birth of her daughter. She learned a lot from her. It made her much more open-minded. The process came to the fore in experimental ways of working. She let herself be inspired by the paintings her daughter made with a painting program on the computer. She projected her daughter's abstract figures on the wall and copied those with different techniques. For example, she used her hands or sponges in order to apply the colors. This chapter of her life is hard to follow because she destroyed a lot of the works from that period. After realizing that she was not searching for one single style, she accepted the necessity of changing her way of painting regularly. With the portrait of Audrey Hepburn called La Perfection, which was a part of the We the Woman collection, she figured out one main material that would retrospectively change the effect of her older works: wax.
Audrey Hepburn. I'm in love with this portrait because it is the portrait that I think made me what I am today. It is very much different from the ones that I did, and I've actually signed this, which was one of the first paintings that I started signing. This portrait was not supposed to work. It was an experiment, which I had done between 2007 and 2009. I only did experiments with wax and lots of other materials. Why wax? Because I love candles, and there were so many candles that I had left, and they meant to me. They meant so much to me, and I didn't want to throw it away. So I wanted to use it into something that would have, that would be timeless. Exactly like Audrey. She was also timeless. And the idea of a collection had been in my mind for a long, long time, and I wanted to call it We the Women. I don't have any brothers, and my father passed, unfortunately, when I was very, very young. So to grow up in an Afghan family, living in the Western world, in a totally different world, that has nothing to do with mine, but yet having the base from the East culture and then coming to the Western culture, you try to find yourself first. So you're always in fight within yourself. And these experimentations were also very important to me to find my way as an artist, also to experiment, and the things that I had learned at the beginning with my grandfather, and then the portraits that I experimented, and then it went into these different phases of being an artist, and I could finally call myself an artist.
She decided to present this portrait to the Audrey Hepburn Children's Foundation. It was very important to her that this special work does not become a part of an invisible private collection. She wanted it to be at a place where it actually belongs. This is the only one of the moments where Nahid Shahalimi showed her extraordinary social involvement. After that discovery, she decided to rework all the paintings to modify them. She continues to use that wax technique to define the effects of the pictures. The skull is one of her latest works and will be a part of a new collection. The individual and the essence of human existence is one theme you can find everywhere in her creativity. And like she said, finding yourself as an artist is finding yourself as a human being. Nahid Shahalimi wants to become the best, regardless of what she is doing in this moment. Human rights activist, mother, and at the end, artist. Nahid Shahalimi is achieving her goals.